Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. Today, we have amazing decks for you. We've got two decks you voted. We've got Safety's Phoenix Force Hercules deck. It's so freaking good right now. And then we've got a secret deck at the end of the video. That's right, four decks. We're announcing our next custom card video. We're going to talk about the secret new cards that Marvel Snap is giving everyone that no one ever discusses. But before we do any of that, please hit that sub button. We are right at our 8,000 goal. We're trying to hit 10K as soon as possible, as soon as possible even, so you can help us get there completely free to you. We bring you at least 3 new decks every single weekday. On Saturdays, we bring you a podcast. On Sundays, we bring you a regular full video. We give you more top quality content that can help you get infinite, help you climb to high infinite, bundle guides, everything you need for your Marvel Snap journey right here. Hit that sub button. In addition, we maintain a giveaway sheet. This is every active giveaway in Marvel Snap. It's in the link to the video. Please feel free to check it out. You can win some really cool free stuff. Now, we believe in deck credits here on Snap Take. So, our general outline for the day is we're going to start with the questions of the day. Then we're going to go to Safetyblade deck. You can find safety at the link. Then we're going to talk about free cards that we don't notice because Marvel Snap does give us free cards. We just don't pay attention to it. I'm not talking about series drops. Then we've got fan voted decks. This is our Punisher deck, Benjamin Roller's deck. Then we've got the Electra Zoo. This is Buddy's deck. Then we've got the next custom card contest, which is the Hoyoverse. That is the Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail universe. If you'd like to be involved in that, the link to that will be in the description to this video, and more information is in that slide. And then we're gonna look at the secret deck, the one that's from the thumbnail. This is from NateBiz. I don't know how to say how powerful this deck feels. I only played a little bit. I sent it to Safety. Safety played a little bit, and he went, "Oh, well, this kills Thanos." Yep, this just straight up destroys Thanos. The best Thanos decks in the game right now completely collapse in the face of this deck. It's that good. That's why we're saving it for last. I'm trying to get you to actually watch this one because I think we do a really good show here. I'm pretty proud of it and hope you enjoy it. Our first question of the day is Direwolf, who is on his way to Infinite, asks how often I go for 8 cubes. And often, too often. How often I should go for 8 cubes is when I know what my opponent's plan is going to be. When I have my plan and when I know what my opponent is going to do. The real question I ask myself when I'm deciding on 8 cubes or not, when I'm actually like trying to compete, is what do they have? If we're going for 8, I'm assuming they have it if they're staying in, right? So if they're staying in, I'm assuming they have whatever the thing is. I need to be able to read what that thing is. If I do not know what that thing is, I run. And I have like a mental heuristic of things I check for on the last turn of the game, basically always. And like I double and triple check that list for 8 cubers. I'm telling you right now, it took me a while to get Goliath onto that. I successfully added Goliath to my mental heuristic. I added Blob actually much more easily because that's just like, okay, if they go super tall here, can I make sure I win the other 2 lanes? Great. The final my final like boss heuristic problem is I can't seem to add tribunal. So I'll like triple check everything. I'll be like, I can beat this, that, this, that, this, that. And then it's like, but if they have tribunal, I'm dead. I don't do the but if they have tribunal, I'm dead, even decks that are now running tribunal. So I need to like knock that into my head. That's cost me a couple 8 cubers recently. Outside of that, it's just like, okay, so Valkyrie will stop me here. So Shadow King will stop me here. I need to be aware of that. I need to be aware that I don't have priority. Look at their deck. Is that the kind of deck that runs that? If it is, great. If they're just going to drop stats, can I answer those stats? How? Why? Good. One of the powers of that Loki deck is that the opponent cannot possibly know what you have. You've got too many different options for that mental heuristic to work at the end of the game, and it's a way for it to steal cubes. I won a 4 cuber with a Galactus I got off Nick Fury with that Loki deck that we talked about in Friday's video, the Buddii Loki deck. So there's just like a lot of ways to steal cubes with that type of deck when the opponent doesn't know what. There's also decks it's harder to like do the end game prediction stuff with, right? You just have to assume. So I'll do like a base stat line. I'll count up if they fill every spot how much Hitmonkey can be, right? And then I'll just like do the math from there. Where would Hitmonkey go if I was them? And then I will count up from there, like assume that they're gonna get to like low 20s in the other lane. and that's how I like handle bounce, that kind of thing. Hopefully, you find that interesting and useful. That's basically how I tackle. Someone claims that learning deck improving grounds is useless because it's a different meta. Sorry, I don't remember who it was, but it was someone on Discord. Um, no, that's not true. So when you're learning decks and proving grounds, you're not trying to learn how to beat opponents. That's not the point of proving grounds. You're trying to learn how to play the deck, right? You're trying to learn what happens when I play this on this turn. What happens when I do this or that? What happens when I snap here or don't snap here? Um, that's you're learning to play yourself in proving grounds, not learning to play the opponent. And I think that's an important step that a lot of people skip in that they're trying to play the opponent's deck. Learn to play your deck properly first. It can take time, especially for things like Loki or things like Bounce, to really get the hang of it, to know what you should do when. Like when I play the bounce deck, I played the bounce deck with Roy, right? Roy got his first infinite. I coached him to it with the bounce deck. So he was like, I do this here, right? And I was like, no, 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 no. If you do that there, then you can't do this and that and this like 3 turns from now. Like, oh, I see that now, right? But like you have to practice your play of the deck to know that. Knowing how to play the opponent is a later step in the process. Get the thing down yourself first. Use proving ground for that. Um, Otherwise, you're going to lose cubes, right? Like, stop losing cubes as you learn the basics of. Heredixley wants to know what changes I think need to come to collector's reserves to make them worth opening. My answer is not going to be a popular one. I think they're relatively worth opening. If I could do one thing, it would be to get the fake cosmetics out, get the avatars and titles out. If all of those were just variants, I'd be thrilled. Like, I wish the tokens were basically doubled, but they seem unwilling to do that. They've been talking a lot about that this week. It's something we'll talk about at some point. I think, um, well, we have news coming on getting more information about that, so I'm trying to put it off until that news is announced. It's not really my news, so I'm sort of putting off talking about the new economy and the new economy information we've been getting because we will get a better version of that here on Marvel Snap Zone. So stay tuned for that. Just I don't want to give you half baked information when I can give you better information. So I don't think that anything's going to really change in like the terms of tokens or credits or anything. And I think the credits and cosmetics are mostly worth it, except that avatars and titles are terrible. They feel bad. They are bad. No one wants them. They're garbage. So if those were just removed, I'd be perfectly happy, I think, for the time being. I'd also like gold tickets to go away, but I'm less adamant about that. If you'd like your questions read out loud in tomorrow's video, please leave one in the comments. As always, priority answers are for Patreons. If you'd like to become a Patreon, I'm now releasing just like regular daily fast extra videos there. So if that's interesting to you, check it out. Patreon.com/snapjudgments. All right. This is Safety's deck. This is sick. This is the best Phoenix Force deck I've played. Um, I'm gonna figure out how to get Iron Lad in here because I want Iron Lad. But outside of that desire for Iron Lad, this deck is wild. It is phenomenal. It's got 3 things to kill. It's got the torch, the dagger, and the hold up. The torch, the dagger, and the multiple man. I don't know why I lost multiple man because it's in the right corner. The torch, the dagger, and the multiple man to kill. If you kill any and bring it back with Phoenix, you're in great shape. You can get any of those cards really, really huge. Be careful with Dagger. Dagger is the easiest to predict and therefore the easiest to Shang-Chi. Phoenix Force obviously stays under the Shang range, and Human Torch is in only one lane, and the opponent has a 50-50 of guessing the lane right. But if they hit that Tribunal lane, they're just going to be sad. Also, if your Human Torch is randomly, stupidly huge enough, um, feel free to not move it and just drop Tribunal and say screw you, right? Like if your Human Torch has already moved twice onto with Hercules, and it's like a 50, and you know your opponent can't really get that high, especially if they're playing Shang-Chi, just drop Tribunal, call it a day, win the game. But that's the basic gist of this deck. Um, what Hercules really does here is it gives you an extra turn to draw Phoenix. So if you see Hercules on 4 and then Phoenix on 5, you usually only get that one Phoenix move, which is terribly feel bad, right? Well, you can get 2 if because Hercules is going to give you that extra 1, right? And now things feel better and you can still win that. Also on turn 5, you can like Iron Fist with that Phoenix Force, or you can Ghost Spider. That's why both of those are there. Telling you, like, there's got to be one more card. Everyone wants to cut Kyara. Safety swears I should not cut Kyara, but I want to cut Kyara. And it's really, really, it's like it's largely for Human Torch, but also make sure my Iron Fist and Ghost Spider and such don't get killed out from under me. Um, I want Lad as an extra shot at Phoenix Force on 4 or 5. Could also be an extra Tribunal. It wouldn't make me sad. All right. So Hercules and Phoenix are musts. I forgot that Tribunal is a Series 5. Tribunal is also a must. Nico, Forge, Hulkbuster, or Iron Lad can be Ghost Spider. They all make the deck a little worse, but fine. Kara can be Armor or Iron Lad. Damn it. Okay. Uh, so Safety got 2 Infinity tickets with this. I keep seeing people getting Infinite with this on Twitter. Everyone's tagging Safety and being like, I got Infinite with this. And Safety got 2 Infinity tickets. The win rate stats aren't great. It's a Phoenix Force deck. Phoenix Force decks retreat for 1 a lot. If you get snapped on and you don't have the combo for Phoenix Force, you just walk away. But you get a huge cube rate because when you win big because your deck just goes so huge over the top of it. Please, please, please snap when you have your combo. It's the only way to win. You can make them think you don't have your combo, by the way, and then snap, which is actually hilarious, right? That's a good way to get 4 cubes with it. All right, turn 1 torch, eat it, or play torch if you have tribunal. Eat it or play torch is the next best play if you have tribunal already. Over multiple men, over dagger. Cool. And if you don't have tribunal, multiple men, jump torch. Turn 3, eat the move card. Turn 4, force is better than Herc. Turn 5, obviously force. If you don't have force, now you're running. You can drop Herc if you do already forced, and then you just move force over to Herc. If you think they have Shang-Chi, you can just drop Kyra here. If you're making a bunch of multiple men, um, then Kyra obviously is not an important play. Hercules is way, way, way better. And then finally, turn 6, you drop Tribunal, you spread all the power out equally, and then you win all your cubes and you giggle, or at least I do. So quick look at the variants. Oh no, I put the original Human Torch in here. That's so sad. That should be the I guess I have 2 good Human Torches. I don't know what either of them are called. Let's just go for for argument's sake, the one that we all the one that I didn't vote for. I wanted that Rian Shang-Chi, but whatever. Sorry, that yeah. So that Human Torch. I decided to go with Venom Ghost Spider because I have the Hip Venom and the Hip Carnage here. I also have Hip Phoenix Force and Hip Tribunal. I will at some point go and just suck it up and get Hip Deathlock. I accidentally have the Hercules Spotlight. I like this multiple man. There's a hip coming. I like this dagger find. There's a hip coming. This is the coolest Iron Fist to me. I think it's a really cool action pose. And then they didn't actually bother to release variants for Kyra, so sad day. And I like this Deathlock. I also have the one that's like a really artistic look close up of his face from the side. I can run either of those. Cool. Let's keep going. All right. So we were just given 2 completely new free cards. Quake was played by 3 people in Snap. Kingpin was played by people who memed, and Angel was never played. Angel's still bad, so like Angel doesn't count. I'm not counting Angels. But Quake and Kingpin are both like meta cards. They took cards that sat there like digital cardboard that was unused and turned them into cards in the game. It would be very easy for them to release Quake or Kingpin as brand new cards, right? Kingpin could be, I don't know, what's his name? Tombstone, right? And Quake could be Graviton. And then you just release these as 2 brand new cards that come in spotlight caches. They didn't. They took cards that aren't used and gave us new cards. Now, that's 2 brand new cards in everyone's collection this week. And we say that we don't get free cards, right? We always have to pay for cards. But that's just like not true. This has happened at least 4 more times. I asked Lauren and she gave me a list of like 50. I think the like strongest 4 other times this happened are it's Spider-Man got a complete redesign, Crystal, Arrow, and Wolverine. These are complete redesigns. So once every couple months, we get a brand new card just for free as part of playing Marvel. This also happens for cards that are in spotlight caches, less often, but it happened with Black Knight and Snowguard both. So it's not like it's always free when it happens, but it does happen fairly often. So in the past year, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these at the very least. And like most of these, I think the first of these was Wolverine. So like most of these were fairly recent. The change in functionality on these cards, and sometimes they change and make them way worse, right? Like we know they nerf cards. But they very rarely nerf cards completely out of the meta, and they take cards that aren't at all in the meta and make them good. And I think that's got like real value. That's an important thing to do because they could be greedier. And I'm not saying everything Marvel Snap does is great. And I'm not saying I'm not mad about a lot of the monetization. If you've ever listened to the podcast, you know we go on and on about that. My personal beef is that I think Series 3 is a nightmare, Series 3 Collection is a nightmare, and I hate it, and I wish they would fix it very badly. But if we're going to yell at them when they do something wrong, we should also commend them when they do something right. And instead of letting Quake and Kingpin, and to a much lesser extent Angel, just rot, they took these cards and they reworked them until they were real cards for Quake and Kingpin, until they were cards that fit into the meta. And these are, again, cards that we get for free, that they're saying, hey, have a good card for free. And I think that's pretty cool. Cool. So props to Second Dinner for this really great way of helping the community, and I wish more people noticed it. Okay. So every Wednesday we vote for a card that is less played to feature in a deck. This week we have two winners because like we were piling up decks. We have a Punisher deck and an Electra deck. So we're going to look at a Punisher deck and an Electra deck because those are the two cards voted by the community. These aren't going to be the best decks in the game, so Punisher deck and Electra deck, but it's decks that are capable of using Punisher and Electra well, and that you can win games with. Cool? Again, remember, the meta deck is at the end of the video, but these are very cool decks. In particular, I like this one a lot. This is our Surfer Punisher list. It's really cool. Punisher is basically always like a 3-5 or 3-6 here, and if he's a 3-6, he's a 3-8. It's pretty good, right? That's the same thing as one buff on Sebastian Shaw, except that Punisher is free. I like that. I'm for it. You also have the added benefit with Punisher of like in a goose lane, they have to put lower cost things, which means Punisher's power counts sort of extra here. It works very, very. Okay. What else does this deck do? It's got a little move package for Craven. It's got Jeff, Silk, Polaris, and Spider-Man. Gives yourself a nice big Craven, which can in turn help you win a lane for cheap. Cool. It's got the Brood Surfer, it's got the Gladiator Surfer, Surfer for everything, right? And then Havoc can be big and Forge and help you grow. I'm going to tell you straight up, I don't like Havoc in this deck. I think Havoc is the first cut. Let's actually talk about that. I like Havoc better as either Elsa Bloodstone or Kingpin. We've got Polaris and Spider-Man for that Kingpin play. And if Kingpin's a 2-5, then great. Most of the way there to Havoc without me having to give up an extra energy. And it's better than just one turn Havoc. Odds are I can move 2 there, but even if I can't, I'm perfectly happy to move 1 and just take that. And Elsa should be very good because like Elsa in a Brood lane is 2-5. And again, I'm there, right? I wish I could also Elsa get that almost filled Jeff, right? Silk, those kinds of cards will do the job for me for Elsa and give that +2 power. And like if I can get Elsa to a 2-7, that's amazing stats. So I like either of those cards better here. Silk or Jeff can be Shadow King, but you're really going to kind of need the other. You need at least one of them for the Craven to be while. Gladiator can be Sebastian Shaw, but there's not really another good replacement. You want one other big stat stick. And again, Punisher is actually a reasonable stat stick in this deck. All right, so turn 1 is passed. Don't play your Forge. Turn 2, Craven over Jeff over Silk over Goose. I guess slight caveat, I will occasionally Forge Jeff, depending on what location has already showed up. I don't hate Goose Blind because once in a while, Goose Blind will pop itself into Crimson Cosmos, and that's a really funny play. Turn 3, Polaris is better than Spidey, is better than Gladiator, is better than Punisher, is better than Brood. This changes based on what your opponent plays and what you played on turn 2. If you this is assuming you Craven, Polaris and Spidey are great if you Craven. If not, you might want to save them. Gladiator is great if you can tell your opponent's not playing a bunch of huge cards. Yada yada. If your opponent is going to go wide, Punisher goes up the list. I don't love Brood early because I want to save the space. Turn 4 is the same idea as 3, but you play Forge also. Turn 5, you Goose somewhere that you think they have to play one of their big cards. And then you play a 3 also. And then turn 6 is usually just Brood and Surfer, and then you win. Really, really nice. Cool. All right. Quick variant talk. We got Hellfire Gala for Forge. We've got Meltdown for Havoc. That should be Hip Elsa or well, a Kingpin, but we'll talk about that later. Hip for Goose, hip for Jeff, hip for Spider-Man, hip for Gladiator, hip for Surfer, hip for Brood. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hips. Good number of hips here. We've got our Venomized Craven and Silk because when we run them together. We've got Peach Momoko Punisher, Rian Polaris, and that's the deck. Next up, we have Buddii Zoo, and Electra seems weird here, but she's got two really, really cool uses. First, Black Knight is a really obnoxious card, and having an on demand, I just murk that card wins a lot of games. Snap, kill Black Knight, have a great day. Right? Cool. It just like now they're discard like they can still win, right? But it's so much harder for them. Because Black Knight is an utter nightmare for this deck, particularly because the shard is something that Valkyrie can't answer. Um the other real use here is on the last turn of the game, Electra plus Valkyrie. If Electra mercs one of those cards, you just win that Valkyrie lane without any extra help. And that's a really, really powerful combo too. Ghost, make sure your Valkyrie goes off. Martyr's just a lot of power. Ant-Man's just a lot of power. Um, Scarlet Witch is for any locations. She's the first card I would change. I think I would make her Goose. Shadow King obviously is here because Blob is a jerk. Dazzler, you fill a bunch of lanes is great. Shauna is how you fill a bunch of lanes, which is important. Um, Kara protects your stuff. Khazar and Blue Marvel are your backs. So Martyr can be Hawkeye. I like Goose for Kara or Scarlet Witch, as the case may be. Buddii has been killing it lately. He created that Hela deck. He created that Loki Hela Carrier deck. He's just on fire in terms of deck creation with creative, original, powerful ideas. So turn one is drop a one. Honestly, read the board, pick one. Turn two, drop two ones. Generally speaking, if you have to play Scarlet Witch, do so. If not, please, two ones is better because you have Khazar in the deck. Turn three, Kyra Ashana. Turn four, Khazar. Turn five, Blue Marvel. Turn six is a one and a Valkyrie, or several ones and Dazzler. If they drop Black Knight, stop everything, kill it with Electra. Electra's actually really good and important right now in this deck. I know that's wild. So is Ghost because you go so wide with this deck, you're very often like ahead and just being able to say, no, I'm not actually gonna take priority. But thank you very much for thinking I'm going to. And then being able to Valkyrie is really good. There is some downside to Ghost if you're playing to Kyra to turn off a Killmonger, but like you can't win them all, right? Again, I like Goose for Scarlet Witch because if I can Goose for Scarlet Witch, I can usually win that Goose lane, which means Valkyrie has to win another lane. This deck's real good at letting Valkyrie win another lane. Oh, all right. Oh, variant time before we go further. Ant-Man hip, Ghost hip, Martyr hip, Dazzler hip, Shauna hip, Khazar hip, Blue Marvel hip. 7 hips. Love to see it. Wish they gave us a variant for Kara. Baby Electra is my favorite Electra. I don't like it. The best Shadow King in the game. I'm eventually going to suck it up and buy the Hip Scarlet Witch, but this one felt like it fit the tone of the deck. Rion for Valkyrie. And let's go on to our next contest. We are going to do a Hoyoverse contest. That is custom cards for either Honkai Star Rail or Genshin Impact. Cool. This was suggested by Silver Wolf, the winner of last week's contest. If you check Friday's video, we did a new card contest. We got New Mutants variants, the custom cards for New Mutants that I thought were really great. So if you're interested in participating in this Hoyoverse custom card contest, so the only caveat I had was I wanted something that represented that Genshin was an action game and Honkai was a turn-based game to be like obvious in the design of the cards. We're going to pick two winners. That'll be revealed in either Wednesday, very likely Wednesday, but time is a flat circle. So very likely Wednesday, possibly Thursday's video. The contest ends Tuesday night. If you'd like to participate, check Drewberry's Discord. The link to Drewberry's Discord, the Berryverse, it will be in the description to this video. If you would like to make custom cards, check snaptracker.me/custom. It's a custom card builder that I didn't know exists, but apparently does, and that's always cool. All right, this is the deck I've been building up all video. This is Nate Biz, our friend JD McDonaldinho tweeted this. This is a player who's often at the top of the ladder, who like fluctuates around, and Nate Biz tweeted and was like, "I'm gonna reveal the stats for this Monday." Yeah. I'm not gonna wait for that because I played this and I was like, oh. So you probably remember the Revis deck. Even if you wouldn't remember the Revis deck, there was that big cozy controversy. So like you probably know of the Revis deck, right? It was basically this deck, um, with like without the Loki pack. Cool. It ran Legion and then just another couple good cardy stuffs in those spots. So this is better because like Snow Guard gives you like a pseudo Legion when you really need it, and Loki is Loki. This deck pences Thanos. Like the current meta decks do not like playing against this. Shadow King rocks the face off all the Phoenix Force BS. Um, all the move BS, whatever else you're looking at. Uh, if you're still seeing a lot of High Evolutionary, it does not like Loki and Snow Guard at all in any way, shape, or form. If they don't leech you, Shang-Chi ruins their face, and you have their good cards but cheaper. If they do leech you and you've Loki, they probably just gave you an Infinite for they probably gave you a 5 power Infinite that you could just play at your own leisure. And then like, yeah, this is silly. You've got the variant cards of Mirage and Coulson. Um, this deck is very like you got the best stat sticks in the game in Gladiator and Ms. Marvel. You got Loki. You've got answers for absolutely everything they're doing. I don't. I played this and I was like, I just look. I was like, oh, this is it, right? Like, I haven't felt this is it about a deck in quite a while. I'm still dominating with those other decks, but this doesn't feel as hard to play. Um, Safety's complaint was this feels like it's telling you what to do, like it's telling you the right plays when you play it, which probably means it's good for a wide variety of play. Do I know that? No, I played it. Safety played it. Nate Biz played it. Um, I don't know of anyone else who played it, so we don't even have stats for this yet. I know I won my 4 games, and then Safety played it for I don't know how many games. It was like a half-hour games, and he was like, "Oh, I'm dominating." So yeah, this is a really, really good deck, and it beats the best deck in the game. So it might be the best deck in the game. Mirage can be Quake or Echo. You lose a bit, but not too much. Gladiator can be Polaris or Medusa. Again, you lose a bit, but not too much. Please don't touch the rest. You can also, I guess, so you really, really need to. I usually say you can run Maria Hill for Snow Guard, but you want that location killer. Cool. All right. So Quinjet over Snowguard on 1, Zabu over Quinjet over Mirage over Snowguard on 2, and there's obviously changes to that, right? Like if you don't have Coulson or Loki, Mirage goes up over Quinjet. Zabu is always a priority. Turn 3, Zabu still because Zabu and Sarah for all your 4s costing 2 is still silly. Coulson is basically equal to Gladiator in this deck. It's really hard to know which to play. That's like the big decision. And if you went Snowguard into Zabu, you can Loki there. If not, you probably don't want to. Or if you had a draw location. Usually, though, you don't Loki until 4. Loki on 4. Um, you can Snowguard on Loki on 4 if you have Zabu out, which is just silly. Like old school 3-cost Loki nonsense. It's better than Ms. Marvel. I usually won't tempo out Enchantress here, but sometimes you can just wreck their face with an Enchantress here, so don't feel bad. And then turn 5, Loki is better than Sarah usually, unless you've got Zabu out, and then Zabu and Sarah is silly sauce. So put Loki, and then turn 6, go off with whatever the hell you have. You are so powerful on turn 6, it's completely insane. This deck is nuts. Like I saved this for the end for the real ones, for those of you who watched, for those of you who hopefully enjoyed this whole video, because like I, I don't know how to phrase this exactly. Because I don't want to oversell it, right? Okay. That Revis deck had a crazy high win rate, and then Cozy pushed it out, and its win rate fell a little bit, but nowhere near as much as you'd think when it's someone of that size makes it. So I played that deck a lot, and I played the combat version of it a lot. And it was a really good deck, right? Like I won a lot with it. I won a lot with a lot of things. I'm decent, right? Um, this feels better. I don't know how to say that otherwise. I don't know if it is better, but early on, this feels better. And I think that we should be playing this. Like I think that like if you are smart at playing and can throw priority, this destroys Thanos. If Thanos hits you with Leech and Blob, you lose. Cool. That's fine. If Thanos gets Leech and Blob, you are very likely dead. But you can Loki on 4 and still leech them on 5 just fine, and then they don't have a blob. And you still have other things to do because your hand gets so cheap and you have their hand. Right? Because you have Quinjet and Loki. Yeah. Like, if you don't get the Loki, Shadow King answers Blob perfectly fine. If they don't have Kyara, Shang-Chi ruins their life. If you're running into those old Tribunal decks, you have Enchantress. This just has an answer for everything if you play it well. So practice this deck. Where? Proving ground. Learn it. Learn its patterns. And I think this is it. I think this deck is sick. Quick variant talk before we go on. We've got Jacinto Shang to chill with Jacinto Enchantress. We've got our Season Pass Loki because I love it. We've only got a few hips here. We've got Zabu, Sarah, Ms. Marvel, and Gladiator, so 4 hips. Um, we're going with a Noir for Agent Coulson, though the hip will be out soon. We've got the best Shadow King, as always. This is my favorite Mirage. It feels the most comic-y. I love the New Mutants. That's why that was my first custom card thing. Spotlight Snow Guard, because this deck deserves a spotlight. Then we've got Steampunk. Release that Steampunk album. Cool. All right. We're almost done for the day. My shot for the day was this, which is I have a hip for Null, Sarah, Cosmo, Stature, and Beast. I have Noir for Hood. I don't like Chibi Hood. I've got each in gold for She-Hulk, and they're giving us they've given us 2 better Ghost Riders than this, and I have the Jacinto. So and I have the Robbie Reyes. So I don't know. It felt like an easy pass. I did yesterday. I take Saturdays off from the shops, but I got this cool hip Wolverine, so I have another hip up, and then I tried to resist the Noir Kingpin because I have Pirate Kingpin and I have Hawaiian Shirt Kingpin, but I wanted Noir Kingpin, so now I own Noir Kingpin. It's really really good. And then finally we have the Collector, who's fine. I just got another Collector. I think Collector might be decent with Miek. Not sure, but I think Collector might be decent with Miek, so we'll see. All right. Certain tiers of our Patreon support come with thanks on air. So our Patreons that we're thanking today are Models, Pretty Chill, Fother Newman, Inc., No Flex, Mandatory Burnout, Matt Conduit 23, Good Dog Gamer, Kiertix Lee, Mikey Hijinks, DG Winfield, Rob Silverman, Matt H., Robert River, Abigail Gieslin, Direwolf, Ocularis, Spike Jones, Louis Antunes, JD McDonaldino, who also helped us find that last deck, and the homie Min. All right. The first deck and the last deck are sick, I promise. Are they going to be sick for your playstyle? No. How the hell do I know that? They are very good decks. If you can play good decks well, you will succeed with those decks. Cool. If not, practice time. For real. Practice seriously. We're going to do a big tip thing right at the start of next season to try and get everyone to Infinite. We're going to do 2 Sundays in a row of just the best tips that we have to help you get up to Infinite. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you so much. Hit that sub button, ring that bell, leave that comment, help us fight that YouTube algorithm, get us to our goal of 8K. We appreciate you. If you're interested in the Patreon, patreon.com/snapjudgments. For watching. Peace.